Hello, we are Group 1, and our case was GE's Ecomagination case, and my name is Mark Nikolai. I worked alongside with KC Patel and Lee Sponseller. So some main issues in this case, one being GE's decision to use outside partners. GE brought in a bunch of venture capitalists to invest alongside them when they first started this, and the downside of that is GE, they could lose control over external ideas being supported and also internal GE ideas that leaked out during the evaluation and due diligence process. Another issue is the VCs also set ground rules when they came in to make sure that GE couldn't take control of something whenever they wanted to. So that's makes it more fair for the VCs, so they can't get bullied by the big company. But the downside for GE would be that they aren't able to profit off of an idea as much as if they were the sole investor in that idea. Another issue would be when the VCs came in, they set ground rules, but when they set the ground rules, they made it so there was no single set of criteria used to evaluate each submission. So it was up to each judge to make his or her own judgment when reviewing a submission, and since there was no standard to go by, it wasn't really fair for everybody. They weren't on the same level playing field because it was up to the judge to make their own decisions on what was good and what was not. So some ideas, they may have been great ideas, they never made it through to the next level because it didn't interest that particular judge, and if there's no guidelines to go by, no one can say if that judge was right or wrong. So another issue, there was a big issue at the launch of the challenge, and that issue is they were just flooded with tons and tons of submissions right off the bat. They didn't even finish the announcement of this challenge before they started receiving submissions, so they were definitely not prepared for the amount of responses they received. They definitely didn't have enough judges or anything because each reviewer, they had to deal with 10 times more submissions than initially expected. So some more issues are GE was forced to encounter some new and different entities that they did not have to deal with before they made the switch to the green energy. So they didn't have to deal with these entities in their traditional energy business. So they had to forge partnerships with a large amount of companies that they didn't usually interact with in the energy business. They also had such a rapid increase in interest in green energy, so they had to take a portfolio approach with their new projects, which the portfolio approach is discussed later on, what that is exactly. So some comments on effective solutions for GE's issues. Since green energy was still in the early stages, GE had to take a portfolio approach to new projects, which is what I just mentioned. The portfolio approach, according to the textbook, it provides a coherent basis on which to judge which projects should be undertaken and ensure a good balance across the portfolio of risk and potential reward. Failure to make such adjustments can lead to a number of problems. So since they are unsure about which approach to take yet, since they're just exploring these waters in the green energy business, it's better to have multiple bets to help them cover the space better.
Okay, Mark, thanks. I'm going to take it over. This is Casey. I'm going to finish up the rest of the presentation since Lee has a software issue where he could not do the voiceover. So I'm going to cover part of the Lee's slide as well. So as a part of the solution, we would like to recommend the G should have set their own ground rules And if VCs were okay with them, they could have invested along with the GE. That way, it would have allowed GE to have a little bit better control over the ideas and decision making as far as investment. And also, it could have made them a more profit for the ideas that they could probably like or would like to invest on, instead of just relying on the VCs. Second thing is just listening to VCs. They could have made a little negotiation, and GE should have required the set criteria requirement for evaluating the submission for the same, and some submission to the same for all the judges, because that way it would have ensured consistency and a fair level for all the applicants, because the way it is, all the submission goes to one judge, and if that one judge, in his mind, for coming from a different field or his own field, he may not consider that as important because he don't know much about it, he don't have enough expertise in the field of the ideas that were submitted by the applicant. So that's a little disadvantage for the applicant, but at the same time, GE might miss out on the good ideas by following their lead as well. It was really shocking for GE when they received and bombarded with a bunch of ideas and suggestions, which is a good problem to have, but it's a problem because having so many submissions, they could not evaluate fairly. So we would like to recommend that they could have put the limits on the amount of submission, so they could be better prepared and knowing the exact amount of submission they would have. And this option could result in a great ideas being heard if they submitted after the max was obtained. Also, they could have done different ways. They could have dedicated more judges to evaluating the submissions. This would ensure where every submission can be viewed and not rushed through due to the more resources being dedicated to processing of the submission. So the question by CEOs and others and executives as well as VCs are that should GE continue with the Ecomagination program? Well, let's look at these two charts. This chart shows that what GE has ended up spending due to the Ecomagination R&D. They have spent in 2013, 14, and 15 roughly 1.5 to 2 billion dollars. In return, they have gained revenues from anywhere from 28 billion to 35 billion. So, needless to say, proof is in the pudding. Ecomagination is working, and GE should continue with the investment. Let's look at the progress in other fields. Since Ecomagination started in 2005, and since this report was made in 2010, in the first 5 years of phase, GE has pledged to double their investment, and they actually have spent up to $2.3 billion into R&D. They also have reduced the greenhouse gas emission due to GE Ecomagination project by 29%. They have reduced and reused the quality of the water and reduced the water usage by 13.5%. They have increased their revenue by Ecomagination by $21 billion. And they have engaged communities and all around the world, whether it's universities, students, entrepreneurs, or anybody in the energy business, and they have created a one world community that focus on energy creation, usage, and efficiency. This chart will give you progressive innovation efforts that GE have put through since the beginning of the Ecomagination project, which was started in 2005. As of 2013, 14, and 15, they are expecting up to $12 billion in a clean energy R&D to be spent. They're also expecting the revenue due to the Ecomagination product will go to $160 billion. The very impressive part of it is 32% of reduction in the greenhouse gases from a 2004 baseline. Also, due to this program, we are estimating about 45% reduction in freshwater usage since 2006 baseline, and that is very impressive data. Here are some of the references that we have used while preparing this presentation, as well as the report, as they are listed, and also we included our textbook as a part of the preparation of presentation as well.
Ecomagination is about environment, and it's about the economics of the solution at the same time.
Ecomagination is a broad, captivating initiative that brings us all together to think about how we can make the world a better place.
There's a lot that we all have to do right now. We have to get economies jump-started, we have to reduce carbon emissions, and we have to address water scarcity. We're investing aggressively in technologies for the future. We're also engaging with governments and policymakers because the decisions that are being made right now are going to have an impact for decades to come.
GE Research is involved at the core of Ecomagination with bringing great technology to our businesses. We're working on some fundamental technologies in wind energy, solar energy, battery storage, that I know in 5 or 10 years will have a great impact on the marketplace.
So as we sit here today, we have the broadest portfolio of solutions to offer into the concept of the smart grid. We're working with Florida Power and Light and Cisco to deploy 1 million smart meters in the city of Miami. Our Ecomagination Center is a place that we're going to innovate new solutions in partnership with Masdar in the Middle East. We're a very big player in the healthcare market, saving our healthcare customers money and helping them to reduce their own carbon footprint at the same time. We have a GENX engine that is all about reducing fuel consumption, improving energy efficiency, and reducing emissions. Innovating around technological challenges, bringing new solutions to the world is what GE has been about for more than 100 years.
That's the conclusion of our presentation. GE's Ecomagination, an experiment in open innovation. Let's watch this small video, and thank you very much on behalf of Mark, Casey Patel, and Lee for watching this presentation. Thank you.